All right, here with Charlie Worsham. Always good to see you, man.
Great to see you.
You know, I was thinking about you. I think about you a lot personally, but I was thinking about our relationship, just how, I guess it started. I don't really hang out with a lot of artists. I have a couple of friends now that, as much as I've tried to not be friends with artists so I could still remain objective, there are just really good people in town, and you don't want to discount what can actually be a good friendship. Yeah. And so I do have a few artist friends now, but I think you were the first artist that I ever said, you know what, I'm just gonna go have lunch with the guy. And we went to some
tavern.
That's exactly what it was.
And I was thinking about that this morning. I think it was 2017, because if it had been 2018, I think I would have been engaged, and I was getting ready to put music out.
Yeah.
I kind of knew in my gut that it wasn't gonna work.
The music?
Yeah.
Or our relationship?
The music. No, the music. Like, I mean, in my gut, I knew something felt off, right? And you had some really good wisdom for me at that lunch. And
I did. What in the world would I tell you? You're the all-knowing.
No, man. You talked about how you kind of said, man, you know, a song's got to be ever so good to be able to hit the charts and go up the charts. And you get songs, and you've talked about this on the show and on the podcast, you know, you get songs that get pushed up the charts by the team surrounding that person and that song, and then you get songs that just take off no matter what, and all of that. And you were just kind of dispensing some real wisdom, and it made me kind of reflect on what I had surrounding me, and the album, in a sense, like commercially speaking, it didn't work. But what was really going on was the seeds for this music that I'm just now putting out, those seeds were getting planted. And in the process, as you also in your life since we last connected can relate, I was building a life outside of music. I was dating my wife, and as that music came out, it was the record beginning of things, and I'm really proud of the record, don't get me wrong, but it didn't, I wasn't in a new tax bracket after that, record came out, but it taught me a lot, and when it didn't work commercially, unlike the times before, I turned and looked around me, and there's my future bride, and I'm sort of like, this is going to be okay.
When we were hanging out that day, you told me about her. I think you may have shown me a picture because you guys have been on a trip or something. But the first time I met her was we were doing a charity show together for Brandon Lancaster. Brandon Lancaster was with me. It was your show.
That's right.
You had said, hey, come out and do every
dang Monday.
We call it dang. Every dang Monday. And we went out and you were like, I think we were doing like 90s. Was it 90s country
90s
night?
country stuff.
That was the first time I met her. Yeah. Was out there with Brandon, and Brandon and I had to come up to play. And I remember I did Mercury Blues, Alan Jackson, and just thought that was the most fun. And that was right before, maybe 6 months before pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It
wasn't that long.
But it was like the last real fun in-town thing that I had done.
And it was at Basement East, which then wasn't there after the tornado too. And now it's back in action and all, but yeah.
We have a storied career together.
Yes, we do.
2 things, Mike. No, we have more than that too. How's that? I'll start with some personal stuff. You have a kid now.
He's 4 weeks old, and as of an hour ago.
So, 4 weeks. Are you just like, I can't wait to get home and see him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, it's great to be diving back in, because the new music arrived about the same time he did. We knew that was going to happen, and so I was able to sort of get some stuff ready ahead of time, and I've been at home. And it's been beautiful that this happened at the time it did in the pandemic, because I got to be home with Kristen throughout the pregnancy, and now in these early, this precious time we won't get back. I mean, it's very random. We're very sleep deprived. There's not too much I can do. She's the NASCAR driver right now. I am the pit crew, changing the diapers. It has been a game changer with bottles. Like I can feed him a bottle. That's my new favorite thing with him. But it's amazing. It's sort of like the axis of the planet that is me just got shifted, and the spotlight that's always been on me has been shifted away, and it makes everything more beautiful.
Jordan Davis was over a couple nights ago. We do a show on Twitch from this bedroom across from this room, and he's got a young child, and we were talking, and I'm getting married later this summer, and I assume we're not going to wait too terribly long to have kids. She's not pregnant now, but so a year or two, maybe 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what's the deal? And he goes, well, here's what stinks. Like the first 6 months, you don't really do much. You just sit there and go, I wish I could do more.
Yeah.
He said, but then there's a little click. and then you get to start doing more, and then it gets to be awesome. But just like you said, he goes, the first 6 months, you're just like, all right, call me, put me in, coach.
Yeah, man. Like, can I get you some water? Can I get you, what can I get you? You know, it's been a blast though. And Kristen, I'm just in awe of her, and she's an amazing mom. It's been really cool to see.
On to music for many minutes here. Fist Through This Town, I put it on our national countdown show this weekend. Did you know that?
I didn't, man. I've been changing diapers.
So this weekend, right?
That's so cool.
So Saturday and Sunday, you know, it's literally the largest countdown, the country countdown in the world.
Yeah,
a couple hundred cities. And so we're featuring your song and doing a whole thing about it, and you know, playing it, getting it a bunch of spins. Maybe some people will see it pop up the chart a little bit. Maybe they'll see it and spin it. And
you might be starting a whole thing for me.
I'm not starting anything. I'm just jumping back on to help now that you're back on as well. So yeah, so pretty cool. I'm pretty pumped that you have music out and I can go, here we go, let's do this.
Yeah, well, you know, thank you for playing that song. I know it may not be the most radio friendly song. I believe you've heard all 6 of these new tunes. The thing about putting Fist out first that was important to me is I think that's where for most country fans they last heard from me. You know, in 2014 I was on tour, sandwiched between Sam Hunt and Kip Moore. Kip's loyal following and Sam was blowing up as my first record was kind of going away, and it was a frustrating time. And when I sing that song, when I wrote that song, that's the part of my story I go back to emotionally, but it's not where I am now, right? But working with Jay Joyce on these songs and everything, it really helped me just find a new way to reveal myself. And I'm just so proud the music's out there. I'm so grateful you're shining a light on that song, man.
It's a small light, but you know what? A lot of people will see it.
That's right.
I'm pretty pumped about it.
That's right.
Let me play a little bit of that. Here is Fist Through This Town. So is that the single, or is that just a song you put out first?
It's just the first song. There's going to be another song coming out in May, and that's a song, very much a love song. Very much, I'm not supposed to announce it yet, but Believe in Love. That's the next song to come out. And then another song is going to come out in June, and then more after that. And I think the idea is let's just get the music out. I've been away for a while. Get people familiar and maybe see what might raise its hand as a song to really do the push with. Because I got to hand it to my label. You know, Warner's been with me. This is my 3rd time putting new music out. And it's not normal for someone who doesn't blow up with success to still be signed. And so I'm still on the roster. A lot of people that I was on the roster with when I signed aren't there, you know. And I've been on this journey to keep excavating in my heart and my soul and find my sound, and I feel like I'm closer than ever. All the music I've ever made is as honest as I could ever be. In that moment, it's a timestamp, you know. But I think I've kind of hit this new part of my story, and being married, being a dad, is a big part of that. Working with Jay Joyce was a big part of that.
You say you're lucky to still be on the roster. And you're right, a new artist, if you don't hit as a new artist, it's hard to get them to continue to invest money in something that's not pulling money back in, because in the end, you and I are just part of a business plan and a bottom line somewhere, good or bad, right? Same thing.
That's how they see it. Now, personally, I say
I agree.
It's a 30-year investment, not a quarterly, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I don't say 30 year. I say more like 1 year on me. If I'm not making you money in 1 year, but we are seen as some numbers, and if those numbers eventually don't produce,
that's right,
they have to cut us.
That's right.
Because we're in a weird profession,
right,
where we are using our intellect to create, and hopefully people think that what we're creating is worthy of their money. So that being said, why do you think they have sat with you through 1, 2 records, paid for a 3rd? What is it about? Who is it over there? What is it that's keeping you on?
Well, I mean, I got the goods. I know that, right? And I don't mean that in a cocky way, but I
don't
do
take it in a cocky way.
No, like I've gotten to a place where I do understand that I've got something to offer.
But I would say this, and I think you do have the goods. Everybody knows that. That's so understood that I feel like I didn't, or you didn't need to say that.
No.
But I would say that sometimes decisions aren't made with the people who know you have the goods.
That's right.
Same thing in my company. It could be a boardroom where they're just looking at data, going, we got to fix this. They don't know Charlie. They don't know Bobby.
Right.
So, but somebody has got to be in your corner that can talk to the people.
That's it. Well, that would be Chris Lacey, but it'd also be Shane Talton. I could point to 10 people at Warner, Espo, up at the top, and Jamie Younger. Like the list goes on and on. And me saying I've got the goods, I think it's also a few other factors too. I haven't lost my mind and gone crazy. I've proven that I'm mentally stable. I work hard, and I mean, better than anybody how important that factor is. And so at Warner, they see that. They know that the reasons that I maybe haven't exploded yet, they're largely out of my control. And, Vince Gill is my hero, and he told me long while back now, he's like, man, just don't worry about it. Stick with it. They're always going to bet on you. Because they will always bet on talent, and they may run out of money. It's almost like Warner sitting at the poker table, and their Charlie chips are getting shorter and shorter until we get a winning hand. But I do think they'll keep betting on me until they're out of options, and it's part of the reason we cut 6 songs and not a whole album. That was really refreshing as well, because I know people just don't have the attention span.
I don't, honestly.
I
don't have the attention span for a full record anymore. I hate it about myself. So if a TikTok comes up and it's 60 seconds, I'm like, why am I spending 45 extra seconds watching this TikTok?
I know.
I only have 15 seconds.
Well, albums are season tickets. I still believe they're important, but you don't just wake up one day and buy season tickets to the Red Sox. You become a Red Sox fan. You go to a game.
Nice analogy. I believe. Same. I didn't know that's exactly how I believed it, but see, that's a great one. Like I would buy and have Arkansas Razorback season tickets.
There you go.
Chicago Cubs season tickets. I would have those. But if I'm just go to a Red Sox game, I'm not going to buy some. I need to go and watch a lot of Red Sox, get invested.
Got to get invested, man.
Which I'm not a Red Sox fan, but that's an interesting analogy. I'm going to steal that. Hey, write that down.
Please.
Now I'm going to act like I'm going to act like I said that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, use it. I stole it from somebody. But yeah, I mean, it's Warner knows that they're playing this. It's almost like playing the lottery,
And I don't say that in an insulting way, because I believe in you more than. Well, not more than anybody, because I'm not putting my money in you. But I believe in you so much. I'm a big fan of what you do, not just as an artist, but who you are as a person. But there have been people who have vouched for me. Listen, I got fined $1 million by the FCC. They came charging after me, and my company had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to pay that $1 million and keep me on?
Right.
And luckily, someone said, hey, okay, right, we're losing a little money with him right now, but he's going to make it back for us at some point.
That's right.
And thank God somebody believed in me and hung with me through that.
Well, and so it is. It's Chris at the label, but it's so many people and people who kept me going. I mean, for me personally, in my brain and my heart being able to keep going, one of the biggest things was the year 2019, because I was once again reinventing myself, and the 2 phone calls I got were to go out on the road with Vince, be his guitar player, and to go out with Old Crow Medicine Show and be a member of that band for a year. And that really put me at ease and kind of was like this cosmic voice saying, dude, it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And it's Espo. I remember Espo bringing me into his office and saying, man, I think he played me like Frank Zappa or something crazy. He said, if you want to sound like this and play to 20 people, or if you want to sound, if you want to sell out Bridgestone Arena, either way, we want to be in business however we can. And so we've cut these 6 songs. I feel really good about them. And yet, for a million reasons out of my control, they may not work. But I think we've got these 6, and I think because we just cut 6, that I got one more swing of the bat at Warner after this, if it doesn't work. And I'll still make records even after that. Even if they don't work, I'll find a way to do it,
You might be the most beloved person in town under age 45.
Oh.
Just in general, like nobody dislikes you. People love you. People either love you or they don't know you well enough. That's what I say about you. Like they either love you to their core because you're such a good, honest, authentic guy, or they just haven't spent any time with you. You are a very passionate person. I can respect that in so many ways. And so for me, I'm glad when you're back on the media tour, putting music out, because that means I get to talk to you and again, and put another light on you, Because listen, if you have any music out and I have you over and we're just talking, it's like, all right, bud, what'd you have for dinner? You know?
Yeah.
So-
Well, it's just to me, it's so much fun to get to talk about it because I grew up the son of my mom being a school teacher, and I recognize about myself, up until this last time working with Jay, I've always made my records with my best friends, and I've always come into music from that side door of playing on other people's records and backing other people up. I like to be the sponge. I like to approach everything as a student, and I'm starting to get the idea that when you're making your own record, that's not your job. Your job is to grab that spotlight with both hands and say, everybody, y'all pay attention to me.
Right.
Like, I never would have said on the microphone, I got the goods until now, because I now understand that there's a certain part of this role that requires you to have, it doesn't have to be cockiness, but confidence.
Yeah, I think if you don't believe in you, nobody believes in you.
That's right.
And sometimes you have to scream, I believe in me, to make people listen. Off any sort of microphone or TV camera, I got nothing to say, right? I'm a quiet guy. I'm down. But you're right. When it's time to go, I do have to do that and go, hey, listen to me.
That's right.
Like you guys should listen to me because you have time and you need to listen to somebody, so it might as well be me because
That's right.
I have compelling things to say.
Get on this bus. I
Yes.
am driving it, and I can take you somewhere you can't go without me.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that you're feeling that and saying that now.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
I'm just staring at you after I say that to see what you'll say. But yeah, like the fact that you have this confidence, outward confidence, because you've always had it inwardly. You know how good you are. But what actually triggered that? Why now do you feel like, all right, this is it, next level?
Oh, it's a million things. I mean, one of the big things, and you can hear it in the new music. Fist Through This Town is a great example with the guitar solo. Man, we got married, and I can honestly say I've become buddies with my hero, with Vince Gill. And he called me up and said, man, come by the house, got a wedding present for you. And I'm thinking, dude, we're going to get the most amazing toaster I've ever seen in my life. And I show up at his house, and you can, if folks see the music video for Fist Through This Town, there's a scene of me walking with this sort of gold guitar case. And that gold guitar case was sitting on the floor next to him. And in the case was the guitar I play in the video. And when I started working with Jay on this music, he said, man, B.B. King, Keith Richards, all these guys, they had their one guitar. I mean, you got your red guitar, you have other guitars, but like you've got
Right.
your it's your thing. And he's like, dude, I challenge you to play one guitar on these recordings. And so I was like, well, I'm playing the Vince guitar. It's a 1960 Gibson 335. It's my dream guitar.
Did it sound as good as you thought it would?
Oh man, yeah.
It did.
The crazy thing was I had played it before. So the first time I went out on tour back in Vince Up, he said, man, if there's anything you need, let me know. I got tons of instruments and gear, like happy to let you borrow it on the road. And I said, man, I love 335s. So that guitar was on my guitar stand on the first day of rehearsals, and I fell in love with it then. And he knew that. Of course, I had no idea that he would someday give it to me. And being given that instrument was a big shot in the arm of confidence. It was like, oh my gosh, I have this now. I have to make good on it. And then enter Jay and going, you're not going to bring in a whole bunch of pedals. You're not going to bring in a bunch of amps. Pick one guitar and one amp, and let's go. And it's funny, too, the amp, I called John Osborne, who's a buddy, and he has this amazing old Fender amp. It's a Tweed Deluxe. And so I borrowed John's Tweed Deluxe. I have Vince's guitar. And it's just hard to go into a studio with Jay Joyce playing Vince Gill's guitar and John Osborne's amp and feel like you're not going to just do something great. You kind of can't lose with that combo. And then we had this fantastic experience. And Jay, I'd worked with him on Eric Church records, on Chief and on the Heart and Soul that just came out. And so I'm a big fan of Jay and knew him a little bit, but I didn't know him well enough to be super comfortable with him. And the cool thing about Jay is he's not precious about anything. As soon as we get the take, he is on to the next thing. There's no victory dance. There's no listen back to the song 3 times. And that was really refreshing. It made me put everything I had into every take because I was like, this might be my last chance to do it.
Which song, and I'm asking you this, I would ask you this off the air, I might as well ask you now, because I do want you to come in to the radio show and play one of the songs.
Yeah.
But which one, and you're releasing them kind of staggered out, but which one and when? You don't have to answer right now, but I'm going to give you that ticket to cash in.
All right.
That whichever one comes out that you want to come up and play on the show.
Okay.
We don't put as many people on the show anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
it got to the point where there aren't Nashville as compared to other New York City, Los Angeles, as far as entertainment goes. There just aren't as many acts that it doesn't seem like people are coming through all the time. Like, and let me use a friend of mine so they won't get offended. Like, how many times can I have Brett Eldridge on over and over again, twice a year, 3 times a year, where it's just like the same folks coming through a lot, where people start to get bored and go, well, I just heard Tim McGraw like 3 months ago. So we don't bring as many people in, so it keeps it kind of exciting and new. And just because somebody puts out new music, I don't have people in unless I really feel strongly about it. That being said, I'm going to give you this ticket. It's definitely not gold. It's more like a copper. We could call it a copper ticket. It's just a little valuable, but not the most, So when you have this song that you want to come and play for my audience,
Okay.
you can cash it in.
Wow, man, I thank you.
So you don't have to play the song now, but do you know which which song it will be? Or do you need time and you don't want to commit right now?
Well, I'll say this. There's two that I'd flip a coin on. One, and I was going to ask you the same thing off the mic. And
I will not give you advice on that, though, because this is my opinion on your career. And when it comes to picking songs, I have learned that is not good for me to do, because people will actually listen to me, and my advice is no better than anybody else's on what song is good, if that makes sense. Like, I don't value my opinion on listening to a song more than I would somebody at your record label. And I would hate to shift or let's say I don't shift your opinion and you feel guilty and you're like, well, Bobby told me this and I didn't pick it because he's kind of dumb.
Oh yeah, you open up a can of worms doing that.
So I don't. And I'd tell you that off the air too. I'd be like, Troy, I'm not telling you which one.
Well, I'll tell you off the air the two that I think are the most likely that I'm and maybe putting them out in the world and seeing what happens. Not that I would pick a single based on the number of views on YouTube, but it can be telling, right?
Sure.
What's connecting, and I've seen that with your show with music before. You mentioned a song, play a snippet of it, shoots up the charts on iTunes. I mean, you can sometimes get a little. It's like when people lick their finger and putting it in the wind to see which way it's blowing. But
just think about it. You don't have to. I don't need an answer now, but in a month, 2 months, 3 months, you go, hey, I'm ready to cash in my ticket and come play this song.
All right.
I go, all right, let's book it and get it up. Let's go.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
We'll move on from that. It's been 2 years since new music. What is the best feeling? Is it when you write it, when the song is done being recorded, or when you finally get to release it?
Ooh. I'd say between those three, because I thought you were going to throw out like when you play it in front of an audience and they sing back.
There,
yeah,
that one's probably the most amazing.
I mean, that one's just that's a singular experience for sure.
So when you write it and it's done, when you record it and it's done, and you get to hear the full, or when it's finally released and the people finally start to get to hear it.
Well, I'll say on this time around, it was when the recording was done, and that's because I have learned. Similar to you saying, I'm not going to pick the song because I'm not the right person to do it or whatever. Like your personal feelings maybe don't align necessarily with what the people the suits at the label are going to, how they approach it. And for me as a songwriter, I've learned that I don't know when I write the song. There's a song coming out that's, it's one of the two that I wrote by myself. And I was just writing it to get out of a pub deal. I had been fired from my pub deal. And I didn't think anything of it. And I almost didn't play it for Chris Lacey at Warner. And when I did, she goes, don't let anybody hear that. If George Strait hears that, he's going to cut it. That's country gold or whatever. And so I was like, wow, I really would not have thought that. So finishing the song, it's rare that I get that feeling, that endorphin release, like, oh my gosh, I just wrote the best song I've ever written. I mean, you get that feeling, but then you don't know if anybody else is going to feel that way. And releasing the music this time around, gosh, man, I was at home with my son, so I had this, my heart has been split between these two worlds. It's still exciting, but in the fall, world was still shut down, and I'd waited so long to record these songs, and hearing those mixes back, and then being able to get in my car, drive home and listen to the music, and having that feeling like, okay, something's different this time around. Like the way I'm singing is different. There's a difference in my guitar playing. Like I am really feeling it.
A little hair on your chest, what you're saying.
Yeah, a little confidence. I got the goods.
Yeah, I like that. Coulda Be came out in 2013, right? But that's just when I came to town. And you were doing that record cycle. It's when we first met. That's right, 2013?
Yeah.
If you go back and you re-listen to that song, Do you revisit it musically and go, man, if I was cutting this right now, this is what I would do different?
Goodness. I feel like it was all the right thing at that time. I'll tell you what I would do different is the song Want Me To. I comped that vocal myself. I should not have done that. I stayed up one night at the studio and did all of that and worked on some guitar parts and all of that, and I shouldn't have had that kind of access, but I did. And then another thing I think I might have attempted, or if I could do something different from that album cycle, I might have put out a different song as a second single. That said, you've supported the heck out of that song, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
And it's a great song live. It works live. But if I had been able to know what was going to happen with country music and bro country hitting and everything, it was me trying to compete in that world versus me doubling down on what I do best and what I do that other people don't. Mm-hmm. And so I might have put something unexpected like Young to See or my song How I Learned to Pray out, or even Trouble Is, which still had some like radio magic vibes to it, but was more me, right? Not that Want Me To isn't me or wasn't me at the time, but Want Me To was a fear-based decision versus no, man, Young to See, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like that isn't anywhere else right now. And me at 35 can look around and see, wow, man, look at when Brothers Osborne just go and be the Brothers Osborne, they find their crowd. Look at when Mary Morris comes out in my church, she finds her crowd. And now I know that's the move. So that would have been what I would change. But the way we cut, could it be? I wouldn't change a thing, man. Even the acoustic guitar solo, I kind of love that I put an acoustic guitar solo in a song and all that.
How do you get involved with working with church? And you did Heart and Soul. Mm-hmm. Who gives you that call and what did you do? Yeah,
so that relationship began on the Chief album. And at the time, my publisher, Arturo Buenajor Jr., who was a big part of my early journey in getting me in this whole world, he's worked with Eric from day one. And he kind of threw my name in the hat to come play and played a few things that went well. Eric's talked in interviews about how with Desperate Man, he felt like they got too comfortable, so they wanted to shake things up. And they were looking back over just his whole discography and at things they thought, well, all right, we found the magic here. Let's try and recreate that, So I just got tapped as one of the folks who had been a part of that magic on Chief. And next thing I know, I'm on a bus headed to Banner Elk. And I played probably more on Heart than I did on Soul. But I got to tell you, my favorite track I played on, and the one where I feel like I put my most of my stamp on, is a song called Do Side that's on the the
middle one,
the fans only one. And for anybody who has access to that song, check out the this funky little banjo thing. It's me playing banjo, and it's a little riff I came up with. And the groove is from, because we had all this time to kill because Eric was writing songs during the day and we'd hang out, just Jay, and which I love because I kind of knew then, I was like, I want to work with Jay. I want to get some hang time in, and he'd play me records I'd never heard. And the one record I played him, he had never heard, was this old record by Freddie King called Burglar. It's like funk blues stuff, like nothing you'd ever expect in country music. And sure enough, like that day I'd played that record for Jay, and that night Eric brought in Do Side. And so the band is ripping off Freddie King with this little banjo riff that I had on it. But the stuff that everybody can hear on Heart, like the acoustic on Stick That in Your Country Song was me. And I think that was a wild experience where the power was cutting in and out, and we got it in the first take. Banjo on Crazy Land. I'm playing, what's the Heart on Fire? They let me take all the solo stuff on that one, and that was fun, man. I kept... Jay just kept pushing me, like, play more notes, because I'm like always trying to be tasteful and stuff. He's like, nah, man, I don't want to hear more stuff, And that was just a wild, really cool experience.
You ever get with anyone in a room and you're playing, and you're like, wow, like because I just can't see you thinking you're out of your league with anybody. But do you ever get with anyone and you're kind of blown away at how good they are?
Oh, all the time, but that's what I seek out, I know you could put a edit together how many times I quote name drop Vince Gill in this interview or any interview, but he's just so full of wisdom. And one of the great pieces of wisdom that he imparted to me early on, same advice he got from someone else when he was starting out: never be the best musician in your band. Always surround yourself with people who up your game, because if you're the best player in your band, you got nothing to learn. And being in Vince's band, I was surrounded by, Paul Franklin. He's going to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame one day as a steel guitar player. Obviously Vince, John Jarvis, and just all of these incredible players all around me. Wendy Moten, an incredible vocalist. And so, there were definitely like days and shows, sound checks on that tour where I'm like, what am I doing out here? But then there are moments where I'll play a killer solo and be like, dang, all right, I can hang. And but it's wanting to be on the field with people who up your game. That's what I seek. So I hope for those experiences where I feel a little out of my league. Brian Sutton comes to mind as somebody, a musician who is just like, he's just next level, just absolute next level. But we all have something to bring to the table. I got that call to play on the Eric record and get the call to play on these other records, not because I'm literally the fastest guitar player. I am far from literally the most technically great guitar player. Brian Sutton might be. I would put my money on that. But I have a DNA. I got a sound. It's a little bit of growing up in Mississippi and like the way I bend notes. And so I bring a flavor into the recipe. And sometimes that ingredient is called for, and sometimes it isn't.
Aside from really special player musicians, who's an artist that you look at and go, well, holy crap, like that's what they're doing is so good?
Eric is a great example, especially as a songwriter. If he'd never made a record of his own, I think he'd be one of the most competitive writers in town. I don't think anybody argues that. Miranda Lambert was one of the first to take me out on the road. Taylor Swift, those were two hard acts to follow, so to speak. What they taught me both on and off stage about how to run an organization, how to put on a show and treat the fans right. There's so many great artists.
What about playing artists?
Oh, playing artists? Oh, let me think here.
Not Vince. We know you're going to say Vince.
Keith Urban.
Yeah.
And doing the ACMs with him, that was a trip too. Because the first time I saw him in concert, he was playing to about 35 people at this festival in Jackson, Mississippi. He was just coming out of the gate. It was that record post The Ranch, and he was just burning it up. And I knew then, but I know even more now how hard it is to sound great with such a small band. I think he had two or maybe three. I think he had drums, bass, and fiddle backing him up. So it was all up to him, and he's such a dynamic guitar player. He connects visually what he's doing for the crowd. So even if you're not getting it, as a fellow player or whatever, you feel it, you recognize, and he's got such a signature sound. He would be at the top of that list.
I saw Luke Combs playing a song that you guys had written. I think it's an unreleased song from YouTube. Is he ever putting Evermind, right? Evermind?
That's it.
Yeah. Is he ever putting that out?
I hope so.
I would be like, Luke, you put it out, people love it. Like, cut it.
Man, we've written 3 songs together, and I'm like, I was in the studio with him. He's got a record coming out, and we're going to be back in the studio again soon. He's working on his next record, and I love being a part of that band. But we've got 3 songs, and I'm like, come on, man, any one of these would be great. And we wrote another song, me and him and Thomas Rhett, that I hope Thomas cuts. If you're listening, TR, come on, man. But
he's got a whole other record he's still working on right now.
I know. I got my fingers
I was
crossed.
just talking to him the other day, and not on a microphone. I was like, hey, I know you're doing the double record. Like, are they both done? He's like, nah. He said, we got the first one done.
All right. So you're telling me there's a chance.
I'm telling you there's a chance. But let's say Luke doesn't put it out and TR doesn't put it out. Then in this next cycle, then does that give you clearance? If you want to put it out, you can?
I think so. But I will say with these songs specifically, they feel more for them than me. And all jokes aside and stuff, in all seriousness, like having been in that position, I understand when a song doesn't fit, right? Even if it fits that artist, it may not fit them at that time. And songs come in at all times. They come in the 11th hour and something knocks something off. So I get that that's how it works. And as someone who gets to participate as the artist, there are so many talented, just straight up songwriters out there that I don't want to take a spot away from them when they deserve that or earn that. So it would depend on the song. And in those cases, I don't know that those songs would end up on my record. But there are other songs for sure that fit that description. Dirk's just cut a song of mine that, I really wanted to cut for me, but I'm not mad about Dirk's cutting it. That'll be great. And I can still play it in my set, right?
Yeah.
I think about that with Eric Pasley and folks like that. Shoot, they wrote songs for other people. They can still play them in their show.
Mm-hmm. If Dirk's song, but it's not gone, right?
It's not.
Is it going to be a?
No.
Do you know if it's going to be a single?
I don't know yet.
Like that's the part where you're like, come on, if you're going to take it, and I wanted to cut it, like let's make it a single at least.
Totally.
Because then
Come
if you
on,
play
man.
in your set, people think it's cool. Otherwise, if you're playing an album cut from Dirk's, people are like, what is it? What is this? I've never been.
Yeah, there's like the two people in back that are like, yeah, he did it.
They're
like,
the one Venn diagram of
like,
you and Dirk's where they meet in the middle.
Yeah.
They're in that little spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty pumped that you're working in all these different areas because you're just kind of top of your game in so many spots.
Oh, thanks.
Like writing, they have people, the best of the best have you in writing. The best of the best have you in playing. The best of the best have you in on a label performing. Like eventually, and I say this about you, eventually, because Steve Martin said, be so good that they basically it's be so good they can't deny you.
Yeah.
Right? Like they might for a little bit, but be so good that you just can't be denied. And that's what I've tried to do with my life. Like people have told me no over and over. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to go out and be so freaking good. And even if they don't think I'm good, they're going to look and see how people come with me. And they're going to have to put me on things.
That's right.
And I feel like you're that. Like you personify that even more than I do. Like you're so good in all these areas. They can't just hold you back forever.
Oh, thank you. Well, and I don't think anybody is trying to hold me
the
back.
world.
Yes. Well,
The things you can't control.
the things
that's
you can't
they.
control. Yes. That's it.
No one's holding you back going, Charlie, we're not going to let you be creatively you. But so far, these things that you can't quite predict haven't worked out in your favor. Freaking Bro Country comes along right as you're hitting your first record.
But you know what? That was one of the best gifts that I could have been given because it gave me a chance to learn about myself, work on myself. And I've gotten to know Tyler pretty well from FGL, and he's one of my favorite songwriters in the format.
But imagine if you had 10 number ones and then you learned about yourself. Like that was real learning.
Yes.
I'm talking you. Imagine if you wouldn't have had to learn about yourself. You could just be you. And
and I believe I would have gotten into some trouble.
Oh, you do?
If I had had. Oh, I think it's very possible. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I went to this place called On Site.
I've been on site.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, changed my life.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to someone there, and when I was there, I examined my drinking because I thought, well, I don't think I'm an alcoholic, but I could definitely cross that line if I'm not careful. So I went to an AA meeting. I was like, let me just pretend for 3 days that I'm an alcoholic. Can I do this if I need to make that decision? And talking to someone in that meeting, and it's all confidential, so nobody's gonna know who this person is. But I remember him going, yeah, I know how how it is, man. You blow off work and you have a couple whiskeys. Next thing you know, you're at your upstate estate and you've told the guard at the gate, like, lock the gate, and you don't do anything but ride dirt bikes and do blow for 3 days. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't afford that kind of trouble. But if I'd have had massive success, you can very much afford much bigger trouble very quickly. And that could have happened because I had that anger that you hear in Fist. That's really fear. That's another thing I learned at On-Site is that anger and fear are two sides of the same coin. And I was always angry because deep down I was afraid that I was not going to get a seat at the table. That's what it came down to.
On-Site wrecked in a good way me.
Oh, me too.
It's like, because you hear about, I had friends that went in the military, went in the Army, and they were like, well, they knocked me down to build me back up.
That's exactly
That's what
it.
On-Site did. I walked in and it was like, boom.
Yeah.
And then slowly, and I was never someone to subscribe and go, like, I'm going to go to this place and get, but I did, it was Dave Haywood, him and I were talking. He's like, hey, you know what? Because Dave, like me, is creative, but he's also very analytical. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you know what might be good for you? He's like, you're working with both sides of your brain in a lot of ways. And you got a lot of trauma from your child. He goes, I went to onsite. Not saying you should go. But so I just kind of stored that away and thought about it. Then Nicole Gallion, I was talking to her, and she was like, kind of the same thing. She was like, you ever think about going onsite? And I'm like, why does everybody keep telling me to go to therapy camp? And a little bit I was getting offended. I was like, why do people keep telling me to go to therapy camp? And then I was having coffee with Tyler Hubbard.
Yeah.
And him and I had some issues, some personal issues. We were just kind of ironing it out and talking face to face in person, because you can see where a lot of stuff can be misconstrued when you're not together. And we were talking about it, and we had a really great talk. And he was like, man, I'll tell you what helped me so much was going to onsite. And I was like, all right, 3 of you suckers that told me this. So I'm just going to go. And so I went, I came out, and I've recommended it to people, and they've gone, and it changed me to the point where I left that place exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't have my phone for a week.
Yep.
I remember I didn't even want my phone.
I didn't either.
First day, I was like, oh, I need my phone. I'm scratching. I'm going through withdrawal. I need my phone. After about day 2.5, and you're going to bed when the sun goes down, you're reading books all the time, you're meeting people. I was like, I don't ever want my phone again. It only took about 6 hours, and I wanted my phone again. But still, when I turned it on, I was like, oh man, I'm going back into a place that I really wasn't looking forward to going back to. But it changed me. It's really exciting to hear you went, and it helped you too.
Oh man, I shout it from the rooftops. I believe in it so much. My thing when I left, though, I drove straight to 5 Points Pizza and ordered a double order of garlic knots. I was like, I need some carbs.
Well, listen, man, I'm pumped that we're starting this chapter.
Yeah.
And this season of you, because you got so much going on positively around and about you. One, your family, your wife, you got a new son.
Yeah.
Your music, which you're never going to stop doing, but mostly your energy.
Oh.
Like, it's a different energy.
Well, thanks, man.
And I've seen 3 energies now.
You have. And you've always, honestly, Bobby, you've been there every time, at that crossroads point. And you've always just, whether you knew it or not, man, you've been encouraging. And I know I'm not alone in that experience with you. And that really matters to anybody who does this, for someone that they know, that they respect, to really truly see them and say, hey, keep going. It's, it really makes a difference. And I'm just so grateful for this scenic route. I call it the scenic route to stardom, because it's made everything even more rich for me in my heart. And yeah, I get to be a dad too with all this. So. Well,
I'm sure I'll be texting you like, hey, what did you do?
Dude, text all you want. I mean, you got a lot of great dads, I mean, Tyler is great. And I don't know Jordan as well as I do Tyler, but I know he's great too. He was on the Dadville podcast recently, which you'll have to do when you're in there.
I think we got a couple years before we get. That's Dave, right?
Dadville? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not Dave Haywood, though. Dave Barnes.
Dave Barnes. Yeah.
Another great Dave. But yeah, man.
Well, listen, here's what I want everybody to do. Listen right now. First of all, Charlie's Instagram is at Charlie Worsham. And that opens up the hole for you to go walking, exploring. Because you can go, your YouTube, I saw you do like a 15-minute tutorial on Fist Through This Town. You lost me about 30 seconds in. I was like, I can't do that. I can't even learn that. But, you put so much out there in your music. You put your heart on your sleeve about things you're passionate about, things that affect your heart that have nothing to do with music. I think we're very similar in we fight for our home.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to fight against our home to actually be good for it.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
It's tough.
And that's tough because you never want to have to go through that. But I look up to you in many ways. So I'm glad you came over. You have a ticket. You have a copper ticket.
All right.
Whenever you cash in the copper ticket,
all right,
come up and play whatever you want to play.
Well, hey, you got a plywood ticket from me. Whenever you decide to run for office, man, I will campaign all day long. I was thinking about like slogans and stuff on the way down. I didn't have anything yet, but I'll get back to you.
A plywood ticket.
Yeah, man.
All right. At Charlie Worsham, you guys check out Fist Through This Town. When is the next song coming out?
May 21st. It's a song called Believe in Love.
So 3 weeks or so. From when people hear this, 3 weeks.
The day or within a couple days of when everyone should set their 1 week reminder for the premiere of Breaking Bobby Bones. Yeah.
The guy does it all. He still finds a way to promote me. All right, Charlie Worsham, Instagram at Charlie Worsham. Charlie, good to see you, bud.
You too, Bobby.
Hey guys, it's Bobby Bones. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and then go check it out. A lot of artists, a lot of songwriters, a lot of music. Welcome to the Bobby Cash channel.